Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today I'm going to talk about a subject that I really don't want to talk about, but it's on a lot of people's minds, and they are asking me a lot of questions about it in our live chats that we have every night at 6 p.m. Pacific time, except for Monday and Wednesday when they're at 5 p.m. Pacific time if you want to join us. People have been asking me about this guy who committed these murders in this Texas mall. They've been saying, hey, what do you think of this guy? Do you think the media is right in portraying him as a possible white supremacist or, neo-Nazi? Or do you think this is just another symptom of the mental health issues we face in this country right now? And how we don't deal with mental health very well in this country. Which do I think it is? Well, let's look at this guy and let's talk about this. Now, I'm not going to look at him individually because I don't want to share his name, share his image, anything. People who do this are disgusting, and I don't think they deserve media attention. But I want to talk about the circumstances here. Now, one of the things people are worrying about is like, oh, was this domestic terrorism? Is he a neo-Nazi? Because the media is kind of pushing this narrative. And some people are saying, well, that can't be true because he's Hispanic. Well, that's actually not true at all. It very easily could be true. I'm not saying it is, but it could be. There's lots of self-loathing people with issues that join these extremist groups, even though you would think, wow, that group hates them. Why would they join it? It's like, a lot of gay people that are big into the church. It's the same type of mentality. And you would think these groups wouldn't want these people, but they do want a few of these people. Even the most racist group wants some minorities so that when they are accused of being racist, they can say, well, we're not racist. Look, Billy here's Hispanic or Asian or, even black. The Proud Boys are very prevalent, do that quite a bit. Let's just say that. The Proud Boys are very guilty of that. A lot of organizations that are extremist are guilty of that. So it happens. And some people, like I said, because of their own personal issues, want to be members of these groups. They're more than happy to be the token. So it could be the case that he's a white supremacist. It could be the case that he's a neo-Nazi. But that still is a symptom of mental health issues. Let me break it to you. People that are totally healthy, they don't reach out to groups like these, like neo-Nazis, extremists, of any type. They just don't. That's for people who have deep-seated mental issues, emotional issues that do those types of things. So the fact that this guy had mental health issues, which is noted in his medical history, he was even discharged from the military for having mental health issues. The fact that someone with these issues would reach out to these types of organizations or be attracted to these types of ideologies, that's 100% normal. They aren't mutually exclusive. They usually go hand in hand. In fact, most people that are in these organizations, what they need more than anything is someone to extend a hand to them and say, hey, I know you have issues. I know you feel worthless. You're not. Come join us here on the outside. Get out of that life, that hateful extremist life. That's the most successful way to deal with people that are in these situations because they're usually there because of something that's lacking on their part. They are self-loathing, mental health issues, just all kinds of stuff that drives them into that lifestyle, and a little understanding can bring them out of it. Look at most of the people that have stepped away from these lifestyles. They talk about the things that they were suffering through personally when they joined and what brought them out of it and how they try to reach out a loving hand to the people that are in it to bring them out of it. So the two things go hand in hand, mental health issues and extremism. They tend to attract people with mental health issues, emotional issues. So I can easily see that both of these things are true, but it doesn't change the action at all. It's still a despicable act by a lone person who probably has mental health issues, who was probably drawn to extremist positions because of those mental health issues, and he committed an atrocious act because of all of those things combined. Now, is it the problem of the gun? Is it the gun that's at fault? No, of course not. That's not what this video is about, but we all know that's not true. In fact, the media has given this so much coverage, but on the very same day in Texas, the same number of people were killed by a person in a car who decided to run over a bunch of people at a bus stop. It was 7 originally. Now one more person has died. So it's 8 innocent people dead also. Same number of people died. But for some reason, politicians are like, 8 more people die, yet nothing's done about guns. That's all over the media. You don't see 8 more people die, yet nobody's done anything about cars. You don't see that. And I know that's silly to say, well, we should ban cars, because that can't happen and it shouldn't happen. But if politicians really cared about the lives, if it was the lives that mattered, we want to save lives. Well, there's other issues they could be dealing with. If they put half as much effort into, they'd save a lot more lives, like making sure people have proper mental health care and physical health care. You know how many people die every year because they can't get medical care they need? Way more people than that are killed by guns. And that's before you even take into account how many people are saved by guns. So, just being uninsured and not having access to mental health care, physical health care, kills way more people than guns every year, but you don't see politicians trying to do anything about that. You don't see that making that their soapbox cause, because they don't care about the lives. If they cared about lives, they could say, hey, we want to make government grants so that every big city that has bus stops can build concrete pylons in front of the bus stop. So if some crazy person decides he wants to drive on the sidewalk, they can't. They get stopped by these pylons. You could do that in every major city. It wouldn't even cost that much. It would cost a lot less than trying to take back all the people's guns. And it would definitely cost the community less than bankrupting the entire gun industry. But that's not what they're about. That's not what they're about. They're not about saving lives. They have an ulterior agenda to remove guns. So that's why they portray things like this. That's why they pretend like gun deaths are the worst thing happening right now. Your chances of being killed by a stranger's gun are almost nil. You got a better chance of being struck by lightning. Way better chance. So that's garbage. And this whole notion that they need to tie it to white supremacists or extremism instead of mental health, that the reason they're trying to do that, instead of just admitting it's a mental health issue, which, like I said, even the extremist groups is usually a mental health issue, because they don't want to have to address the mental health issue in this country, the crisis. This guy was discharged from the military for mental health issues. He was a soldier that had mental health issues. Did he receive proper care? No. So if they make it about that, well, they'll have to say, well, why aren't we giving people proper mental health care? And politicians don't want to talk about that. The media doesn't want to talk about that. Remember, the media and the politicians are owned by the same people. And they don't benefit from actually having to pay to help people out that are in need, having a responsibility to the citizens who pay taxes. They don't like that. So they would rather demonize guns, because guns are also something that prevent these people that are in power from having absolute power. There was a statement by a reporter not too long ago who said that one of the problems in Venezuela is the citizens aren't allowed to own guns. Just the military and the police own guns. So whoever controls the military and the police controls the country. They were talking about the dictator down there. And that would be true here. I mean, they'll admit it when it's in other countries, but in this country, they pretend like if we just disarmed all the citizens, the government would be a peaceful, loving entity, which we know that ain't true. So, as to whether this guy was mentally ill or whether it was an act of extremist violence, and that we can tie guns to extremists and say, that's why we don't want guns around, because all these extremists are using them, these white supremacists, etc. They want to push that narrative so that they can say guns are bad, let's get rid of the guns, and the government will take care of everybody would be totally safe if we didn't have guns. Well, that's garbage. That's just an ulterior agenda. They don't care about lives. Guns aren't really that dangerous. In fact, they save more lives every year than they take. Innocent people defend themselves with firearms every year. They don't get beat to death with a pipe or strangled to death because they're armed. So their lives are saved by guns at a far higher rate than lives are taken by guns every year. So it isn't about lives, because if they wanted to save lives, there's ways they could do that. Just mandating in cars certain things, because car deaths are one of the major causes of death in this country. So they could just make some minor changes in the industry that would cost like an extra $100 a car and save lives. But they don't do that because that would cost the industry $100, and they don't care about the lives. So it isn't about lives. So let's get that out of the way right now. And as far as whether this guy was mentally ill or an extremist, it's probably both, like I said. It has nothing to do with the tool, as we've shown, because another person killed the same number of people in the same state with a car. So the tools don't matter. It is easy to kill. Easy. The tools you need to kill somebody can easily be found at a hardware store. You can kill mass numbers of people. It's not hard. Period. They don't like to tell you that, but that's just true. Bad people doing bad things, it's easy to do them. What we got to start doing is figuring out, why do these bad people want to do these bad things, and start trying to prevent that. Taking away one tool or another is not going to help. Eventually, you'll just have to take away everything to where nobody in the country owns anything other than stuff made out of foam rubber. And then someone else would still shove that foam rubber thing down somebody else's throat and kill them. So tools don't matter. What matters is motivation and situation. Why are these people motivated to do these things, and what situations are they in that do motivate them to do those things? So we got to start dealing with that, because tools don't matter. And worrying about whether someone does something atrocious because they're mentally ill or because they're crazy extremist, well, that's the same thing. There's not a lot of extremists that are emotionally and mentally stable people. Same thing. So the distinction doesn't matter. Like I said, he could be an extremist. He could be a right-winger. He could be a white supremacist. He could be a neo-Nazi. But all of those things say he's also disturbed. And disturbed is the issue, and that's what we need to deal with in this country.